Alright, so there was a show that came out recently on Netflix, and I guess in the past week. In the past week, by the creator of Blackish. Right, and the show is titled #BlackAF. Which I watched the show. Like, there were some episodes that I missed, but I pretty much saw the show, and from what I did see, I thought the show was funny. Just like the certain scenes, and I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to do it like Larry David, and with Curb Your Enthusiasm. But I thought, me personally, I thought this was a little bit better than Curb Your Enthusiasm, though.
Why?
It was like from a younger perspective. I mean, no, Larry David is older, right? And I mean, me personally, I just felt like I could relate to things that, or maybe not relate necessarily, but I thought things that Kenya is going through were funnier than what Larry was going through, and like the stuff that Larry would talk about on the show as opposed to Kenya. What are your thoughts on the show? I know you have a strong opinion.
Yeah, immediately I was just like, what does this guy have with making like his female lead family like racially ambiguous? I'm really critical when it comes to like representation and how we're presented in the media. I can't help it. It's like something, once you become aware of it, you can't turn it off. So that had my antenna up. So I didn't really come into it with the best attitude. Maybe I shouldn't have read articles. Like, I read some articles about it, and they were basically saying that he kind of centers his whole existence on the show based off of, number one, people being upset that they don't acknowledge, that him being upset that people don't acknowledge his superiority. He's like, really thinks highly of himself, and he just doesn't feel like, he feels like his family takes him for granted and everybody else. But the second thing that really bothers me, and I noticed it when I watched it, how it's almost like it's not really a black show. When I think of a black show, I think of a show being kind of like made for black people. So they're going to say certain things, and they're going to not explain certain things, and then maybe explain certain things from the perspective of like black culture. So it seems very performative for white people. Like, it's very tuned into the white gaze. Like, are you familiar with like the male gaze and the white gaze? So the male gaze is like how when you watch a a music video. That's a better example. They'll like zoom in on the boobs, and then they'll zoom in on the ass, and they just always present women in a way that's like very where they're objectifying women, almost like in a way that's like porn-like. Just pay attention to different movies you watch. Everything is told from a perspective, and it's like, whose perspective are you telling this story from? So that makes me cringe a little bit. I think we've gotten to a place where we don't have to tell stories to make them feel comfortable. Like, I really do feel like that show is intended to be informative for white people. It's almost like a safe way for white people to get to know black people on their own terms. Like, it's not black. It's not a show that's black. 'Cause there's certain things that we know that he goes out of his way to highlight and explain on the show.
I see what you're saying. However, so I know, so people were comparing, this show to, it's just like a cheaper version of Blackish.
Cheaper? Why cheaper?
I guess probably just not. People probably just think it's not done as well. As Blackish or whatever. But like, if people are comparing it to that, and people are saying it's like a similar show, like, I don't recall people being this. If it's the same show, whatever, I don't recall people being this uptight about Blackish when that first came out.
I think there were conversations about that show being that way, but then again, maybe not. But I feel like he kind of picked up the coonery, as they would say.
But all right, so, but I will say I have to say is like, no, I'm not really like an entertainment guru or anything like that. Even though I'm trying to be though.
Claim it.
Trying to be. Yeah, you guys can check us out at Dry Stereo TV on YouTube. Tim doesn't like when I do that. But like yeah, like so I'm not an entertainment guru or whatever, right? But my theory is that he did well on Blackish. Blackish was he probably made a lot of money doing Blackish, right? Let's face it. And when shows tend to do well, they'll have a spin-off of another show. Or, because they do it in movies all the time, like for a prime example, Fast and the Furious. There don't need to be 10 movies in Fast and the Furious. But those movies make so much money that they just keep making more Fast and Furious movies. And I think there's another one coming out. But just the movie does so well.
And I remember when that movie came out. I was in Midland and people were like revving up their engines in the parking lot of the movie theater.
Yeah,
they were that excited about it. But I haven't seen any of those movies since. I don't think I've seen Fast and Furious.
I mean, they're still great movies to me. But there definitely didn't need to be 10, 11, 12 movies. But I just think that Blackish did well. And then I guess the opportunity came along.
It's definitely a great opportunity. I will say that. And a lot of people are like, man, just give him some credit for making it this far. Like, don't hate on him.
Yeah,
but I feel like.
And plus, like I will say that like every genre has their target audience. Yeah, he's probably trying to go for he probably doesn't want to capture the black audience. But I would go even so far to say is that like there are subcategories of black audiences though, not just the whole black audience. So if it's not your cup of tea,
somebody that watches Medea is probably not gonna watch Black as Fuck.
Yeah. So like if it's not your cup of tea, then you don't have to watch it.
It's not necessarily about it being your cup of tea. I could probably watch it and enjoy it.
But
it's about like what message are you presenting to the world? Like what themes are you constantly repeating in your art form? Like, what's the message in what you're saying and what you're doing?
I see your point. But I'm glad you brought up Medea, because Medea's for like a specific category, right? Like usually Tyler Perry has made it known that like he has a core group of women that love Medea.
Cult following.
Yeah, he has a cult following.
I remember when they were plays, there was a cult following before they made
it. And then people aren't I just feel like this it's hypocrisy for these same people not to judge like Tyler Perry or even be in the same thing as or even not have such strong opinions about Blackish, but but Black as Fuck. Like he's portraying us in a completely different way.
No. Nobody's saying he's portraying us in a different way. In fact, it's probably the same way we've always been portrayed. It's very like white. It's centered in whiteness and superiority to whiteness. So I don't know if you can see that, but I can. If you read between the lines of the show, there's nothing progressive or empowering about that show. It's kind of like black man chases after the standards of what white culture sees as being acceptable or success, and he just can never seem to make it. That's that's his character.
Alright, so I'll give you that. I remember one scene specifically. I don't know if you're gonna watch the rest of the season, whatever. I just remember one scene specifically where I agree with that point. But well, are you gonna watch it? I'll just tell you the scene.
Tell me.
All right. So it was basically about Celeste. Like they were at some restaurant, whatever, right? And then he was coming out, and then obviously he valeted his car because his car was expensive, probably like almost a $200,000 car, probably, right? But so then he sees a producer friend, a white guy that he knows. He sees a producer friend that he knows, whatever, and so like they chop it up for a couple minutes, and when they bring Kenya's car around, then they bring the guy's car around. Kenya has a supercar.
This is the first episode.
Is it the first episode?
Yeah, I saw this. Keep going.
Is it the first episode? Okay. I don't think it was the first episode, but maybe it is the first episode. But so he brings a supercar around, and then the guy has a Prius. Alright? And then he was taken back that the white guy didn't acknowledge about his car, or wasn't impressed is the word I'm looking for. Wasn't impressed that he had that car.
Okay.
But like that's really the only scene specifically that I know where he was just like, I can't believe it.
Well, that was the bulk of what I saw, and it doesn't take much for me to pick up on what his MO is. You know? Sometimes you have to agree to disagree. I'm not here to convince people to see that show differently, but I see it this way, and I think we can do better. I think we can do better. I think we can tell more empowering stories without always having to make whiteness the ideal.
So as an example, like if you were Kenya, right? Like what would you have done, or what would you portray? I guess as an example in the show, if it was Black AF and you were the producer.
I think I need more time to think about that, but what I would aim for is kind of like centering the show's ideas and conflicts and themes on things that are unapologetically, unmistakably black. I wouldn't rely on comparisons between black and white achievement or black and white standards of beauty. Yeah. Like I feel like Wakanda tried to do that. Black Panther, they tried to do that. They tried not to have like a white hero. I think at some point while the movie was being made, there was like a white protagonist, but they got written out. I could be wrong about that. Maybe I just made that up. But most of the time when they tell a story that makes it to the box office, a white person has to be centered in that film. Even if there's black characters, a white person has to be the hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they have to be like the primary lead and everybody else is kind of like secondary. So Wakanda or Black Panther was really unique because it didn't do that. And it was successful.
Yeah,
and a lot of people that I've talked to about Black as Fuck, they're like, you can't get as far as he got without kissing white people's ass. And I'm like, that's not necessarily true. Because Tyler Perry, bootstraps all day. Everything he did on his own. You know what I mean? We might not like his art form or get it all the way, but it's for somebody, and you have to admit, you have to respect his hustle and the successes that he's achieved on his own.
And then I just to say something about Tyler Perry really quick. I watched his interview on T.I.'s podcast.
Oh, T.I.'s podcast.
Yeah, it's called Expeditiously.
Are you serious?
No, I'm dead serious. That's the same podcast. And then like in the middle of it, T.I. is capitalizing in Expeditiously. Whatever, right? So, but
That's
it's called
hilarious.
called Expeditiously, because he says that all the time. You know, yeah. So, but Tyler Perry said like no, and I really respect his hustle because he says even when he was first starting out, right, he made sure that he owned everything and that he didn't give away anything, whatever. So even when people were investing in his projects, whatever, he still owned his projects, whatever, right? So.
Yep.
And then he knows that he makes most of his money on the back end, anyways, where he doesn't make a lot up front, but on the back end is where he makes most of his money.
What do you mean by back end?
Like residuals and stuff. Like for example, like if a movie goes to like the box office or whatever. Well, so you have the budget, right? And then all this money goes out. So it's like up front, like he's spending all this money to get the project made. And then he makes his money, like for example, like on like whatever, like box office numbers, like residuals, streaming, things like that. So, but I don't know. I guess we're not here to change anyone's opinion about Black AF, but just do your own research and come up with your own opinions.